I'm Kendra Smarsty.
And I'm Bella Centurion, and this is Channel News.
Today we are looking at the pressing issue of poor dietary health in college students.
Today's college students are facing trials such as the Freshman 15, and we're going to investigate why this is such a common occurrence.
First, we need to explain what energy balance is. Energy balance is the energy intake compared to energy expenditure. Energy intake refers to any food eaten that provides calories. This includes carbohydrates, which yield 4 calories per gram, protein, which also yield 4 calories per gram, lipids and fats, which provide 9 calories per gram, and alcohol with 7 calories per gram.
Energy expenditure refers to anything that uses energy. Included in this category is the basal metabolic rate, which is the energy needed to keep the body functioning correctly under resting conditions. This uses about 60 to 75% of energy that is expended every day. The next highest rate of energy use is physical activity, which is anything that raises energy expenditure above the basal metabolic rate. This is the most modifiable portion of energy expenditure and thus uses anywhere from 15 to 35% of daily energy, a very wide margin.
Another part of energy expenditure is the thermic effect of food, which is the amount of energy needed to digest and absorb food that is consumed. This constitutes about 5 to 10% of energy expenditure. The last part of energy expenditure is adaptive thermogenesis. This is non-voluntary physical activity such as shivering or fidgeting, as well as the maintenance of muscle tone and posture.
There are 3 ways that energy intake and energy expenditure can balance. A positive energy balance is when intake exceeds expenditure over time, which leads to weight gain. A negative energy balance is when expenditure exceeds intake, when this will eventually lead to weight loss. The last type of energy balance is when energy intake and expenditure are equal and there's an equilibrium, which will eventually lead to weight maintenance over time.
In order to maintain an energy equilibrium, it is important to balance the right kind of foods with a routine of physical activity. On college campuses, it can be very hard to make these healthy choices, thus the Freshman 15 occurs. College cafeterias provide lots of different options, but do they provide variety, and are they the healthiest of choices?
Now let's turn it over to Katie to see what students at Alma College think about their food.
Hi, and we are here today at Hamilton Commons. This is the local cafeteria on the campus of Alma College. Today we're going to be interviewing students on their health choices and what they think is healthy and what they think is not healthy. I'm here with a student, Ty Jensen. He's a senior, and we're going to ask him a couple questions. Ty, how do you make nutritional, beneficial choices?
Well, first I have to look inside at what they're serving. So on certain days they'll have a protein selection that I can use in order to reach my caloric values. So today that protein source happens to be lamb. So I went with lamb, and then from there I'll then choose my carbohydrate source. A lot of times I'll use a stir fry to use the brown rice as a good source of carbohydrates. But today is grilled cheese, and that's not exactly what I'm going for.
I try to add greens and eat more fruits and vegetables with every meal.
Well, I exercise almost every single day. I choose foods pretty well. I don't really eat anything that's too bad for me, so that's what I do.
I guess I don't really do that much to stay active besides tennis. If it wasn't for that, I'd probably be like a lazy couch potato, so.
I think it's really hard to eat healthy here, especially because there's not a lot of options, and the stuff that is healthy doesn't taste really good here.
Thank you, Katie.
Now, let's turn it over to Lindy and Caitlin to discuss what Katie found about students at Alma College.
I think that this is a lot of important information to process.
I agree. It seems like a lot of students don't always make the most nutritious choice when it comes to a college diet.
That's a pretty accurate conclusion after watching those interviews. I think that there are definitely a couple of ways people can make more health-conscious decisions on a college budget. One important way is to add variety to every meal, like adding color to salads or choosing a fruit over other snacks.
I know that one way I make a healthy choice is to make sure to not always eat the same meal. And also, I try to incorporate whole grains in every meal.
Looking at nutrition labels can also help us make healthier choices. The Recommended Dietary Allowance, or RDA, on nutrition labels contains a lot of information for each macronutrient, which can really help us determine what we should consume and how much.
Adults should consume about 10 to 35% of the daily calorie from proteins. For example, someone who's on a 2,000 calorie diet should need about 50 to 175 grams of protein each day. Adults should also be consuming about 20 to 35% of their daily calories from fat. This means eating about 44 to 78 grams of fat per day while also being on that 2,000 calorie diet.
Adults on a 2,000 calorie diet will also need 225 to 325 grams of carbohydrates each day, because carbohydrates should make up about 45 to 65% of their total daily calorie intake. Fiber is an example of a carbohydrate, however, it does not provide calories or convert to glucose, because digestive enzymes can't always break it down. Recommendations for adequate fiber intake are 14 grams for every 1,000 calories. So those following a 2,000 calorie diet should be consuming about 28 grams of fiber each day.
Going back to what Bella and Kendra said earlier, it's really easy for people, especially college students, to have the positive energy intake. It's important to make sure to maintain an energy in equilibrium while burning as many calories as you've been consuming, so that weight gain doesn't occur. Remember, eat healthy, drink water, and don't forget to exercise.
I'm Caitlin Calhoun.
And I'm Lindy Vanderveer. And from all of us at Channel News, have a good night and be healthy.